Shemai everyone, welcome to this walkthrough on how to make and edit science films, this time in Adobe Premiere Rush. And you might have heard before, as many people have, of Adobe Premiere Pro, the professional video editing software from Adobe. But Rush was designed really to work on across platforms and also across operating systems. So this works on Windows and on Mac, but also works on phones, tablets, and on computers as well. And it actually syncs between all of those, the projects, if you turn on the sync capacity. So it's really good if you want to start editing or shooting on a phone, make a little edit and then sync it, and then you go to your computer and it's there ready for you to go to. It actually syncs up really well with Adobe Premiere Pro. So all those things work together. So there are some upsides from Adobe Premiere Rush. And normally in Adobe, it's that functionality between software that's really, really good. But there are some downsides too. One of which is Adobe loves getting you in a subscription-based service. So this is £10 a month at the time of recording, and that's forever until they decide they want more money and they up that rate. So if you use this for, say, 8 months, that's £80 already. Filmora at the time of recording is only £70 for a lifetime license. So you've got to really like Rush, I think, to get into it and start using it. And it is handy, especially if you go out into the field, you go out on a research trip and you're shooting on your phone, you edit in there, and you get back and you want those edits on your computer. That's great. That's a good thing to have on Rush. But, if you've got your laptop out there, you're editing on that, then another video editing software might just be as good. So there are some good upsides, some bad downsides. One of them is the limitations I find in Premiere Rush. There's just a lot of things I would love to have Adobe put into Adobe Premiere Rush in future updates. Let's put it that way. If you want to edit along with us, you can go to sciencestorylab.co.uk to the tutorial section and download the media so that you can edit along with us. You can pause it and carry on editing. And we should be able to see by the time we get to this a little bit more familiarity with Adobe Premiere Rush and also some of those limitations that we'll find too. So let's head in and try and find out what those are. This is what you'll see when you open it up. You can go to File, New Project, or you can just create a new project. And one of the things that we're going to do in this is start off with a bit of a hack, because you can come in here, you can highlight all of the different bits of media that you want. But what might happen is that you've actually already organized those folders and you've got them in different folders. You've got them where you need them and where you want them. And you don't want to just highlight everything and bring it all in together. So that's the format I'm going to do today. I don't want to bring in everything together. I just want to bring in one thing to start the project, and then we'll go and find our extra media later. Down in the bottom left, I'm going to hit on project name, hit Tamara 60 seconds. That's our Science/Explorer for today. And I'm going to hit this project settings button just there. And we're going to choose which aspect ratio we want. So this is good for if you want Instagram stories or maybe the Instagram square. We're going to choose 16:9, which is a widescreen format. That works for most things, especially viewing on a monitor or on a TV. You can choose these options if you like. I'm not going to, but I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to click Create, which is down just behind me over here. Great. What we'll find then is that it prepares the media and drops it into our timeline ready to go. And that's fantastic. So let's have a quick walk around of what we can see in Adobe Premiere Rush. I'm going to click on this top button to begin with and show you this Add Media section, because it's an integral part of how we want to edit. I'm editing on a Mac at the moment, but a lot of this should be the same if you're on an iPad or another tablet or on a phone. A lot of the functionality is the same. One thing you might do is just bring all that media in together, or go into your library, use this Add Media function to go into your camera roll and add that in later. So I think this media section is just a big part of Adobe Premiere Rush. So that's what we got at the top. Is we've got the home button and edit button. We'll share later on when we export. But this plus button gives us our media. We can get into the graphics that way in the audio, and we can do voiceovers through it as well. But this media panel is where all our footage is and all our music and graphics. I've already separated them out on my desktop into A-roll, B-roll, drone, logos and graphics, and music. And I've done that because our A roll is the story driver, the narrative. In this case, it's an interview with Tamara. And our B roll then is going to add in extra context. So it's her doing things, it's the local area, her walking around. Drone footage arguably should be in B roll, but I like to separate it out because it gives extra geographical context, where we are, the kind of environment we're in. We've got logos and graphics, some PNG files and some JPEGs. And then we've got music too, which we're going to add in a little bit later. So the media section is one we'll just keep going back to time and time again. Then we've got our playback area. If you're on a tablet or on a phone, obviously this is going to be a lot smaller. We can change the size of this by hitting this section down here and pulling it upwards. That'll increase the timeline and decrease the playback area. So we can hit that and drag it up. Then this is the timeline section down here. And the timeline section comes in a couple of different formats. Actually, I want to change that format because down the bottom left, we've got a few tools that we can use. We've got our cut button is going to be under there. If we've got something highlighted, you can snip it there. We've got a duplicate button, a delete button. We've got an area to extend or expand the audio. So we can expand that out. And then this one, which changes the tracks to make it look a bit more like this. And this is how I prefer to edit. It's just a bit more of a professional style of editing where we can hide and unhide tracks and mute them and lock and unlock them, for example. So this is how I would probably choose to edit. I'm going to drag the size of this timeline back down slightly so I can see the playback area more. And then up in the top right then, we've got all these buttons, and these are super important in Adobe Premiere Rush. So the first one is our graphics, where we can add graphics. You saw that we can add graphics in over here too. Either way is absolutely fine. Then we've got our effects, which are going to be transitions in this. We've also got some other effects in there as well, but this is where we add transitions from one thing to the next. We've got our color, which are all these are filters that you can drop over the top, or we can actually edit our color separately, which we'll do. We've got speed and duration just up here, so we can change the speed of things. If you want to change the speed of this clip, you can see it's come up with now with pink all the way across, and I can change how fast this clip goes. Then we've got audio, so we can change all our audio settings in here, including an advanced button, which just gives us more options. And then we've got a transform button too. So this transform button lets us change the position of things, the rotation of things, and things like the opacity as well. So all really useful. And all the things that you'd really want from a video editing software. So I might be harsh on Adobe Premiere Pro when I say it has lots of limitations, but it does the things that you need it to do. So for now, I want to just delete this. I want to get back out of it because I want to actually go into this and start building it from 0 to 60 seconds. 60 seconds is kind of like the length of the clip that I want. So let's build it from 0 up. The first thing I want to show in this film is a little bit of the context about where we are and what we're doing, and introduce Tamara as well. So let's head into the drone footage first and just bring a little bit in. I don't want all of this. This is 41 seconds altogether in an MP4 format. I could just drag this down and drop it in the timeline if I wanted. So I could just drag that down and drop it in, but then I've got 41 seconds in there. I could click on it, so it shows up with the number 1, and then click add down here. But again, this gives me the same problem. That's 41 seconds of footage. So I'm going to come into this and use this section, which is kind of like our source monitor, where we can go into and we can just highlight the bits that we want. So for example, if I want, let's scrub through here, you can see that blue bar going along with it. I want maybe that section and pull this across to meet the blue part. And then I probably don't want anything past there, so I'll pull this back into there. And now what I want to do is hit the plus button. It brings it down here to our selected media to import into the timeline. Click add. Great. However, that is 20 seconds of footage already. I only want a 10-second intro. So all I'm going to do with this now is use our buttons up the top right and click on speed acceleration. Brings up that pink bar again. and I'm going to click and increase the speed and bring it down to around about 3 seconds, which is probably about there. 700%. That's absolutely fine by me. I'll click on the speed accelerator again to make that go away, and then bring in some more clips. So I'll go to this grid, back to the grid format, and then maybe I'll bring in this one. Again, I'm going to bring in it using this and come across to there. It shows the mountains that we're in quite well. Just want a little bit, and then we're going to add it in just there. And I'll add it into the back of the timeline, so to the far end, which is how we're going to build up our story and our narrative. Next, I want to have a look at Tamara herself and show who she is, because she's going to be talking in a second. And this is a bit of an earlier scene, so we shot this in the morning. So maybe for this, I want to add in this section. I'm going to just drag this entire thing in because it's not a long clip, it's only 2 seconds. So I'm just going to drag that in to there. And then I think there's some more footage at night. However, what I really want is to show her face. So that was us getting all racked up, ready to go into the mountains. Next, I want to show her face and introduce Tamara. So let's click on this one. I think I caught her off guard. She started laughing, but she started looking up into the mountains as well, which is what we want. We probably told her to look up into the mountains. Look into the middle distance. Add to selection and add that in. Because my playhead was over here, not at the end, it added it in just after this clip. So let's just bring that around. You can see how these snap around. That's sometimes helpful, sometimes not so helpful. So now we've got this introduction, which is great. That's Tamara. And now she's going to start talking. So let's bring in the A roll. That's our little brief introduction. There's going to be music behind that as well. So let's bring in our A roll with Tamara that starts talking. We want to introduce herself and we want to know where we are. So I can see this waveform down the bottom. So I can see that someone starts talking here. There's some spaces where people stop talking. I say people because it's either me or Tamara. I'm asking questions. Let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to hit spacebar to play.
Name and what you do. Okay, my name's Tamara. I'm a climber.
So that was me saying, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Tamara.
So let's bring it into there.
Okay, my name's Tamara. I'm a climber. I love alpine climbing. I love coming back to Chamonix. It's my favourite place in the world.
And that was a natural place to stop. There was a big gap before she started saying something else. So let's hit plus. Our playhead's at the end. So let's drop it in right at the end. There we go. And with this now, I imagine it's not perfect. So I imagine we have to clip a little bit out.
Okay, my name's Tamara.
So that okay at the start is something we need to clip out. A few different ways we can do that. Let's bring the playhead all the way to the start. There, I reckon she starts talking.
My name's Tamara.
So I just want to take that okay out. So I can do it in a few ways. I can hit the S button for split, not the R button for razor or the C button for cut or the B button for blade. It's the S button for split. Or I can come down and hit these scissors here where it says S button for split. There we go. And then I can hit that and backspace or delete and it goes away. That's brilliant. Or I can Command or Control Z, go back. I can drag the end of this clip like this and just bring it forward. So when you are manipulating the ends and the starts of clips, you can actually just drag that end forward or backwards to manipulate it. And now,
my name's Tamara. I'm a climber.
There we go. So you can just get rid of it in a couple of different ways. You can either split it and then delete it, or you can just drag it back and forth. Both are fine. Okay, let's get a little bit more in from Tamara, our scientist/climber. The main thrust of this really was that, scientists and scientists are the last explorers. And what is exploration in science and in math and in engineering and technology? And what is it when you're a field scientist and you go out into these places like the Glacier du Tour in the Alps? So we're really trying to bring that narrative out with our selections. And that's part of the editing process is getting into that. I actually just put in that entire clip. I really don't want that. So let's Control and Z to go back. I just want to pinch a little bit of this, a little bit of a backstory maybe.
Up in the mountains. My mum is Austrian. I grew up in the mountains. My mum is Austrian, so I'm half German. So yeah, so I grew up with the mountains. I grew up with them as my playground. So
Excellent. Over, out, plus, and I'm going to add that in all the way at the end. Great. What I'll probably do now is give the audience a little bit of a break. I'm going to add in some B-roll. So behind this, we'll play some music. So we were already up at getting close towards 30 seconds. So let's just add in a bit of B-roll of Tamara in the mountains, because that's where she feels at home. So let's do some of her kind of racking up, getting the, let's have a look. Yeah, probably this bit here. I'll hit I for in, over, out, and then add that in at the end over there. If you want to zoom in and zoom out on your timeline, just on the bottom where this thing comes up, you can drag the ends to zoom in and zoom out. Both work. Okay, and then a little bit more of like of where Tamara is, what she's doing. I might even add some drone footage in there, just to see she's up high. So I do have some footage of, I think it's here on me actually, up quite high. I did it again. I hit add. I don't want to do that. Let's take that back out. I want to go to this one and just grab a selection. Just there. There. Okay. Plus and add. So there's her racking up, and that's her. She could even be racking up in that place. Just there, getting the all the rope together. Okay, let's add in a little bit more of our narrative to keep it going, moving along. What does she say here?
my favourite countries are, well, Austria, just because I...
Yeah.
So, oh gosh, so...
Okay, let's try this one.
Glacier. So we are in the French Alps. We're currently sort of sat just above the...
This would have been lovely, saying we're on the Glacier de Tour and the likes, but you can't see any of it. So let's not take that one. Let's try this one. I've already highlighted those. I need to make sure I don't highlight these. Go away, please, and thank you. And I just want this. Let's try this.
I definitely don't think people have to come to here to have the same adventure. I think exploration and adventure is a very personal thing. I think it means a different thing to every single person.
That's quite nice. Exploration is a very personal thing. Add to selection and add to the end. And then let's grab one last one from this one maybe.
I think exploration has a very broad meaning. I think, sure, if you think about it in a very general sense, yes, most places in the world have been explored by someone at some point. But again, exploration, like adventure, is such a personal thing.
Great. Okay. So let's put that at the end. And you see that we're getting up on 60 seconds already. You end up so quickly get into that stage, 55 seconds. So got a little bit of time to add a little bit of B-roll at the end. I know exactly the B-roll I'm going to add in. It's going to be a little bit of drone footage to begin with to show Tamara in her element. Which one? I think it's this one here. Yeah, her walking up this little section. And then plus and add. Oh, I've added in the... Oh, it's put it in at the end. That's good. And then probably a little bit of B-roll. Just a little bit closer version of her. And a place where I can add in a little bit of something else at the end. So you get to walk up this many times. And then she gets to the top. And middle distance stay, which is something that everybody... I might do a whole film on middle distance stay. It is very handy to know. Just kind of look off into the distance. Great. So that is now our full film. We've got on track 1, we've got all our clips, our A-roll and our B-roll. What we can do is we can separate these B-roll clips up onto track 2. So you can just kind of grab these and move them up, or on an iPad or another tablet or phone, you can select them using the selection tool and then move them up. But I quite like them being for this in here. I find that when I move them up, it all kind of moves around. I'm happy with them where they are on track 1. But we need to also add graphics in, and we also need to add in some music. So let's go back to the front. So you can see where she's talking there. So we want to be able to add a few transitions. We're going to add a few titles, change the audio up, add the color. We still got lots to do, is what I'm saying. So let's have a look at a little bit of this. Need to take that audio out too. So let's do audio next. Let's go to the audio panel, just here, and go through these and make sure that they're all at a level that we're happy with. So there's 4 big chunks that we need to have a look at. And we need to make sure that basically they're all consistent. This is the same person talking on the same day with the same-ish weather conditions. Got a bit rainier. But so what I'm saying is it should all be the same. If you film in lots of different locations with lots of different people, lots of different weather conditions, it might all be different. So you want to go in here and just make sure that they are all similar. And when you play this back, actually this playing behind me, you can see a little area where that plays.
I love coming back to Chamonix. It's my
and basically, you don't want that to go up into the red. What you can do is grab this and push that volume right up. And then when you play it back...
Chamonix, it's my favourite place in the world. I grew up in the mountains.
Well, so just make sure it doesn't go up and into the red on each one of those. So if I want to reset this and put it back to the way it was originally, I can hit reset, or I can just hit the clip volume 1 twice. I can double tap it and it goes back to normal. You can mute it from here. Interestingly, you'll notice that it's already found that this is a voice, and it's pretty good at that. It does pick up what you want, and it gives you an auto volume, which again is pretty good. It makes sure that the voice is heard well. You can balance out, reduce background noise is good if you are in a place where there's a heater in the background or something. Reducing echo for small rooms, and enhanced speech. So there are a few audio capacity things that are in here. Okay, all these are the correct level, except for this one actually. So we've got, there's a bunch of other climbers around us, and we had all the walkie-talkies going off. I want to get rid of that volume. I can do that in actually a few ways. So I can click on it, and I can click mute. That's done then. I can click on it, and I can just reduce the volume like that if I want. I can actually click on this, right-click, and then put separate audio, and I'll separate it out into a different section, and I can click on it and delete it, and then that's gone away too. So a couple of different options for us. I'm just going to click mute. I quite like that non-destructive way of editing where you don't actually delete things, just leave it on the timeline, but just make it so the audience can't see it. Okay, so that's muted. And music will play underneath that. That's absolutely fine.
Exploration and
okay, so all the vocals are correct. Let's have a look at music. So we're going to go back to the grid view, and we can add in audio here. So we can hit the plus and then go to audio, and I'll bring this up. There are a few soundtracks in here that you can use, and there are a few sound effects and things that you can also use. Those are great. I've actually gone and found some royalty-free copyright music for myself. I pay on an annual basis for some for royalty-free and copyright-free music, so I've just got some of that. So I'm going to go into music and then have a look in here to see what it is that I want. So you can see the audio waveform there. You can see it starts quite low in volume, and then it goes up and it gets to here. Let's play this. Don't like that. All right, so perhaps we want a different bit of audio in there. So let's go back. What else we got? How about this? Oh, that sounds loud. Looks loud.
We could burn it down, down, down,
Seems to be quite loud.
down.
Yeah, really loud. Okay, let's go back. Maybe something like this. Oh, okay. So you can see from the waveform here that that actually looks a lot better. Yeah, okay. So that's a little bit more like how this project feels. So always when you go for music, try and match it to the project that you're doing. So let's hit out there and then go down. Let's hit plus. And I'm going to add it in down here. And it's going to add it underneath. So let's go and expand our audio tracks and zoom out slightly. So what we want to do is add in the first half or the first little bit of this and then the last little bit. So you could add in the entire thing and then put artificial fade ins and fade outs, but the musician's already done that for us. So let's add in the first section and then drag this back, and then we'll add in the last section. I'll just hit I to make an in point, and it already knows the end is the out point. Hit plus and then add it in. And then what we've got is a natural in, natural out. And then let's drag that across. And what we'll find is that we'll reduce when she's speaking, we'll reduce the volume. And then because the volume's reduced and you listen to her say stuff, you're not actually going to notice when it changes halfway through. You'll see what I mean now. Okay, so let's go to this section where she starts talking. And I'm going to hit a split, an S. I'm going to hit either there, or I'm going to come across and hit S there, and then here too, S or split, and then just over there as well. I'm going to bring this playhead back slightly. I'm going to hit split there, and then all these places where we split now, I just want to reduce the volume in them, because when she's talking,
Coming back to Chamonix, it's my favourite place.
I don't really want it to be so loud, the music. So I'm just going to go to this and I'm going to reduce the clip volume just to about 20. And I'm going to do the same for this one, down to about 20. And the same for this one too, just while she's talking. And then for the intro bits then, that actually doesn't sound too bad. So that's fine. And then it goes from this.
My name's Tamara. I'm a climber. I love alpine climbing. I love coming back to.
So you can see that actually the music's quite low there, and when she's speaking, you can clearly hear her. That's fine. It is a bit of a weird jump from here to here.
My name's Tamara.
So we're just going to add in a little bit of a fade across there, and we can do that by going to our transitions. We can grab a dissolve that just fades something from one thing to the next. And let's go down and add it in down here. It's going to add it into this section as well. We can actually want it on there, so we're going to delete that. Just want it on the audio.
My name's Tamara.
So it just dips it down there. Let's do it here too. And then on that part and that part. Okay. So now, and when I'll clip that so out, but then you got the ramp up and then it'll ramp back down on the other end when she starts talking over here.
Exploration.
There we go. So it sounds natural then when it goes up and it goes back down again. Perfect. So that's good for the audio. The music's done and we can clearly hear what she's saying. Let's have a think then about adding in some titles to go along with it. So we can go up to here and add in some graphics if we want, or we can come to the graphics panel up here and add some there too. I just want something in here somewhere where we want to show who Tamara is. So let's add a graphic in there. And there are a bunch of different ones. We can browse all of them or just go to titles, transitions, overlays, etc. Let's have a look in titles. So in here, there are a lot of different titles that we can add from. But the one that I really find I use quite a lot is just a basic title. Some of them, like the call outs, are great for like tagging something. these are called lower thirds. When they pop up at the bottom, it just says the name and the occupation. So let's have a look at a few of these. And maybe I just want something that says basic lower third. That's all I want. So let's drag that in. We're going to put it above on the next layer up from the one that we were using. So load in that motion graphics, which is going to zoom in slightly to see that a bit better, because I really want it jutting up against this over here. It's added in a dissolve that I don't want there, so I'm going to delete that. So it jumps from one to the other. We'll fix that in a bit with our transitions. Basically, I want to double click on this, or just touch it on the notepad, and it'll come to this section, this graphic section, and I want to change a bunch of different stuff. So where it says title, I'm just going to come in here and change that to Tamara, and then in the subtitle, that's down the bottom, I'm going to change that to climber / scientist. Scientist. Cool. So then we can change the size of that if we want as well, character spacing, etc., etc., font size. Going to highlight all of it and bring that font size down, because maybe we want that smaller than her name. If I want to change her name, the font, I can do that too. And then if I want to make that whole thing smaller, I can just highlight that then and come to our transform section, and then we've clicked maintain proportions, so it stays as tall as it is wide, but we can just reduce that down, so make it a bit smaller, and then change the position. Just drag it from left to right on this, and then dragging it down and putting it in there. So that'll pop up then with I'm Tamara, I'm a climber.
I love alpine climbing. I love coming back to Chamonix. It's my favourite place in the world. I grew up
and you'll notice that it pops in and then it goes away again as it changes from one to the other, which is what we want, but I'd quite like it to fade in. So one thing we can do is go back to our transitions and just add a dissolve in at the start of that. So add in that dissolve.
Love alpine climbing. I love coming back to Chamonix. It's my favourite place in the world. I grew up in...
Don't actually want that dissolve at the end though, so I'm going to delete that off. Perfect. Okay, so we've added in our title. Let's have a look at these transitions. So you'll notice that it jumps from one to the other here. We've hid some of them, or you can hide some of them sometimes with some extra B-roll. So maybe for this one, for example, where it goes from one to the other, that's a bit of a jump cut that looks a bit weird because there's more or less rain. There's going to be more rain out there. I'm going to come back into our media, go into my B-roll, and just find something else to hide that clip. The thing B-roll is good for is really just hiding mistakes and things you want to cover up. Let's try this one. Just add in a little tiny bit of this. Press I for in, O for out, and then we'll add to our selection. We're going to add it to the end over here, and then I'll drag it over. So then I can drag it to the top layer up there, and then just put it in between these two, so that now
every single person. I think exploration...
we tidied that audio up, but you can see that you just added a bit of B-roll in over the top to hide the fact that it jumps from one clip to another. It's kind of the same clip when you look at it like that, even though there's a big difference. If I go back to our track controls and turn off this one, you can actually see that you visibly see the difference in the clip until you turn this off, and now you can't see that change in the clip. So let's add in a little bit of a transition here as well, because what I want to do on this one is, instead of adding in an actual transition, I'm just going to create one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in using the transform function on this. So I'm going to scale this up a little bit. And as long as it's drastically different or dramatically different, then what that means is you will note, or you'll see that there's a difference, but you'll assume that it was on purpose and not by accident. So let's just get that right over there. Nice. And we're just going to try and get that eye line Actually, that's completely different. It doesn't look bad though. Normally you want to try and get the eyeline kind of the same. But for this one, it doesn't matter too much. I think that looks fine. Okay, then it goes to these. And then that's covered up with some B-roll. Perfect. So that's our transitions sorted. Next up, we're going to have a look at just coloring all of these. And we're not going to color grade them or like stylize them. We're just going to color correct them to make sure that they are as close to what we saw on the day as absolutely possible. So let's go back to the start and work our way through. We're going to use this color panel up here. We're not going to use these presets because if I dragged one of these down here, maybe I'll use cinematic. I just click on it and I think it looks pretty terrible, if I'm honest. So Command Z to get back from that. That's quite a natural look, and from a lot of kind of science filmmaking that I do and a lot of documentary, it's kind of like documentary work where you're just trying to get to look as nice as possible, but like it was on the day. So you're not adding anything. For these ones, for example, I could see obviously more than this on the day, so we need to just adjust that. So let's go into edit and just increase the exposure so we can just see a bit more. That's great. Going to add in that contrast to show that it was shadowy. Bring some of those highlights down because they just kind of overpowering. Add in those shadows and we add a bit more contrast. This was quite a ways out of whack, so we're just bringing that back to as it was on the day. That's fine. This was meant to be shot at night, so it was super early in the morning for an alpine start, so I'm just going to add a little bit more contrast, maybe even a little bit less exposure. Just bring the highlights up slightly, a bit more vibrance. And then this one, this was again early in the morning, so it was actually quite blue. It just looks a bit weird to me, so we're just going to change that. Let's bring that temperature. The temperature is either kind of bluer and colder or warmer and more orange. And what I'm really looking at is the skin tones in this. I'm just making sure that the skin tones are accurate to what tomorrow's skin tones actually are. I'm also looking at the white helmet as well, just to make sure that the white helmet looks white. Like if I change this tint, then you can see now the white helmet doesn't look white anymore. It looks green or more pink. So we're just trying to get those skin tones right and the whites right on the morning. That looks fine to me. And then we tried our best to get these looking as good as possible. So these look pretty good too. What you can do is you can make a quick adjustment with this and just maybe a little bit less highlights, a little bit more contrast, just increase the vibrance, get those prey flags popping. You can actually look back and forth by fiddling with this toggle just here. And then you can go into this and you can actually create a preset from it. So if you've got one that you really like, we'll call this one Tamara. And if you manage to get a color that you really like, you can actually save it and then go into this one and go, I want to go my presets all the way to the bottom, just behind where I am. And you can actually see that Tamara is down here. So I can apply that and I can do that on all of these then. All the ones that Tamara's in, I can apply them there. So we can create our own preset once we've got the color that we like and we can put them in all of them. This one just needs a little bit of extra light, a little bit of extra exposure to bring that up because it's going to try and match the next clip-ish. So let's increase the contrast, bring the temperature down slightly, and then same for this one, just maybe the shadows, but a heck of a lot more contrast. Excellent. So that's how we walk into the end of this little thing. Okay, so that's the colouring done on all of this. It's starting to really take shape now. You've got some more options just down behind me with some sharpening and vignette. The vignette, like, it can get really cheesy really quickly. So I would definitely recommend not using it or just using it very, very sparingly because it's not, it gets really cheap really fast. So we're pretty much done with this now. We've done our transitions, we've done our titles, we've done our colouring, we've done our audio, all that's correct. I think it's looking pretty good now. We've got our titles in there. So all we need to do now, I need to colour correct that one. There's always something you skim back through and you look at it and you go, that's not right. And when we export in a second, this is why I'd always recommend exporting down to your desktop first and watching it back, because almost always you'll see it and you'll go, again, that's not right. I need to change it before you put it on like YouTube or share it with people. So that's everything that we need. We've gone through all of these. We've used some graphics, we've used some effects, we've done a lot of coloring, changed the speed, we've done audio, and we've used these transform functions. That side of it, that side of Rush, is actually really, really useful. So I really like it. Okay, let's have a think about sharing this now. So we'll hit the share button. And currently it's putting that out with a file name that we don't want. Tomorrow in 60 seconds. That's great. We'll save it to wherever. You can click that and save it somewhere else if you like. However, our estimated file size is 480 megabytes. If you want, which is fine, there's a lot of good footage in there, and it's a minute long. However, if you want to change that, then you can change some of these presets, some of these little things in here. You can export it in full HD to YouTube. Let's change it to 122 megabytes. It was already on 4K Ultra HD because that's how I shot it. I shot it in 4K, so at 25 frames per second. So it knows the majority of the footage is that, so it'll output it like that. And that's great, that's what we want. However, if we want to go in and say 480 megabytes is too much, put it out at 1080p, that's 122 megabytes then. Quality maybe medium, I guess it's down to 76. If you want to send it on WhatsApp or something, go for low and just send it via WhatsApp because that crushes it down anyway. So let's stick with high. Full HD is fine, and we're going to output it. We can save the preset and make sure that we always output it in the same one if you want. And then down behind me is the little export button down here. So we can click export, and that's going to locally save it to our desktop or wherever you want to, whenever you want to put it. So like I said, Rush has some limitations to it. It's definitely not the best bit of software in the world, but it has some upsides. Like if I went now to my iPad, if I was somewhere else and wanted to edit that exact same thing, it would be on there. I'd have to have internet connection, obviously, but it would be on there and be ready for me to download and start using. So there are some times where Rush is the best bit of software, but those are quite few for me. I definitely see the advantages of like editing in Rush and then bringing it into Premiere. That kind of Adobe is great at having that ecosystem where you use one thing, then another, and things like that. But if it does all the things you want, like people ask me what the best software is or what the best camera is, and it's the one that you use that doesn't offer any limitations. Like if you're using a camera and you keep butting up against just the limitations that it has, then it's not the right camera for you. And it's the same with software. If you're using Adobe Rush and you love it, the style of it and the way that it does stuff, because each one of them is a little bit different. If you love the style of it and it doesn't offer you any limitations, then that's probably the best software for you. Like you don't need super complicated software if it's offering you everything that you could possibly want. So if Adobe Rush is for you, I hope that was helpful. I hope that at some point you'll be using this and then maybe think about going into Adobe Premiere. It'll offer you limitations. You'll move up and start creating more and more science films. But if you've got any more questions about things that you need to do in Rush, you want little 3-minute explainers about how to do specific things, then drop us a line. Have a look at sciencestorylab.co.uk and drop us a line on there. If there's anything else we can do, there's a bunch of tutorials on there as well. But get in touch and let us know. But until then, happy science filmmaking.